We bring to your attention a list of the best train games where you can find the most realistic and interesting simulators, as well as economic strategies and other similar games on the above topic. Train Sim World. On July 24, 2018, Dovetail Games released a new version of its world-famous train simulator Train Sim World. Players can expect ultra-realistic graphics and authentic physics of movement, an impressive first-person view from the cockpit, detailed control and precise observance of all technical characteristics of trains, as well as fine-tuning of gameplay parameters. The last detail of Train Sim World, together with training tasks, is a very important element that makes the game attractive not only for seasoned train drivers, but also for novice players. Sounds, surroundings, amazing landscapes outside the windows of trains, the feeling of their movement, the behavior of passengers in cars and on platforms, missions, modes, and scenarios widely represented in the game. All this allows you to immerse yourself in the world of railway transport, which is attractive to many. In essence, Train Sim World is a compilation of previous versions of the game, each of which was dedicated to specific railway lines and trains from all over the world. Railway Empire. A very beautiful simulator that allows you to develop your own railway company. Players are given the opportunity to independently choose routes for railway tracks, purchase and repair trains, more than 40 types of locomotives, and almost 36 cars of various types, as well as a range and equipped stations, depots, warehouses, workshops, and other things. The proposed action takes place on a huge, detailed map of the United States, covering the territory from coast to coast. Taking into account absolutely free construction, we get a grandiose, unparalleled railway sandbox. Railway Empire has a deep technology system, more than 300 innovations that allow you to turn your railway into the most comfortable and reliable mode of transport. There is a system of work with personnel and the ability to deal with competing companies using many different ways, including not quite familiar and not always legal. In addition to the free building mode, there are also several scenarios that offer interesting conditions and tasks. Train Valley. A series of railroad simulators with elements of puzzle and economic strategy. The player's goal in Train Valley is to build new railroad tracks, build passenger stations, and replenish the fleet with new powerful locomotives that can satisfy the demands of fast-growing cities. What distinguishes Train Valley from other railway simulator games is its pleasant low-poly graphics and relaxing music, which together create a fabulous and cheerful atmosphere. Mashinky. An economic train game that challenges you to build your own railroad empire on a randomly generated map. Mashinky delivers a very eye-pleasing visual, as well as an unusual gameplay that combines a construction simulator. In construction mode, the camera switches to an isometric view, a deep economic system, and board game elements. Also, players can ride on any of their own trains, surveying the surroundings and outlining the trajectory for future routes. Even though Mashinky is still in early access, it has managed to achieve surprisingly high popularity for a project in such a specific genre. Trainz, A New Era. A representative of the popular series of train simulators Trainz, released in 2015 and featuring a high level of realism. Trainz A New Era has nice graphics with dynamic lighting, support for dust particles, light, smoke, and so on, as well as numerous weather events, rain, fog, snow, etc. There is also a very reliable physics of the movement of the train, and its model operates not only outside the train, but also inside. There is also an advanced editor that allows you to create new routes and share them with friends. Trainz A New Era has multiplayer. In total, more than 200,000 routes created by other players are currently available for the game. And of course, players are offered a huge selection of locomotives and wagons, passenger, lightning, open, closed, and so on, both modern and rare. Train Frontier Classic. Let's move on to the best games on our list. Train Frontier Classic is a sandbox railway simulator. The game has a convenient and rich editor with all sorts of options, with which you can not only create bizarre routes, settlements immersed in greenery, incomparable beauty stations, warehouses and other objects adjacent to the railway tracks, but also work with individual elements of their design and even change the landscape. Trains are also customizable, of which there are several dozen types. Finally, here you can share your masterpieces with other players online, thanks to the integrated community access. And the Train Frontier Classic has a rather big one, so you definitely won't be bored here. Train Simulator. We can say a whole franchise of railway simulators, quite old and well known to fans of virtual locomotives, still enjoying well-deserved popularity thanks to regular updates and additions. In total, several hundred different DLC are currently available for Train Simulator, opening up access to new trains and locations. You can download almost all additional content from the link below. Despite the fact that Train Simulator developers position their creation as the most realistic railway simulator, there is a solid part of the players who scold this project just for its arcade nature. And the graphics of Train Simulator can hardly be called impressive, rather it is acceptable. Of the advantages of Train Simulator, in addition to extensive content, it is also worth noting the presence of an editor that allows you to create your own routes. Train Mechanic Simulator 2017. A very unusual game about trains, offering to repair locomotives, and in general, focusing on their maintenance in proper condition. Train Mechanic Simulator features 9 trains divided into 3 classes, each with incredibly accurate and believable imitation of the internal structure. In total, more than 1,000. Parts and devices are available for repair and replacement. There is also an open world dotted with a dense network of railroad tracks with several depots, allowing you to see firsthand how a freshly repaired and freshly painted engine merrily races into the distance, sparkling in the sun with new chrome parts. Train Mechanic Simulator may not be the best game of the genre, but it definitely deserved its place on the list with an unusual concept and its worthy implementation. A-Train 9. A-Train Sim World introduced us to the everyday life of American rail freight carriers. Then A-Train 9, Aka Japan Rail Simulator, will transfer the action to Japan, allowing you to learn all the delights of managing high-speed passenger trains, easily reaching speeds of 200 km/h or more. Unfortunately, we will not see realistic graphics and picturesque landscapes outside the cabin window, as was the case in Train Sim World here. But the game boasts a deeper and more elaborate train control system, as well as a huge number of other interesting features that are practically not presented in other games of the genre. Definitely one of the most realistic train games on the PC, despite its rather narrow specifics. It will happen only with high-speed trains. Sid Meier's Railroads. One of the first railway simulators with 3-dimensional graphics, and even by modern standards, it is quite good, which has earned universal recognition and love. Of course, there were 3 more parts of the Railroad Tycoon series before him, but the very first of them, Railroad Tycoon of 1990, was conceived and brought to reality by none other than Sid Meier. He perfected and transferred all its key ideas to Sid Meier's Railroads, making the latter a kind of remake of his first game. The player will have to deal with the development of his own railway company for a whole era of 150 years, starting in 1830, all in Sid Meier's Railroads. 7 scenarios and 16 maps are available, in which we will have to lay railroads with accompanying stations, equip adjacent cities, arrange cargo transportation, purchase and repair locomotives. More than 40 types of accurately recreated trains in total, and also fight competitors in the most decisive ways, up to espionage and sabotage. In addition to the campaign mode in Sid Meier's Railroads, multiplayer mode and free play mode are available. Unrailed. Unusual multiplayer game. You, along with other players, will build a railway in an endless game world, the locations in which are randomly generated. Working together, you will be engaged in the extraction of resources, the improvement of wagons, and the fight against various obstacles and dangers, rivers, mountains, locals, and wild animals. At the same time, the train is constantly moving forward, and the only thing that will stop it is the lack of assembly of your team. A couple more features. Several game modes, you can play both with friends at the same time and against them. various biomass, deserts, snowy glades, forests, dynamic change of time of day and weather, diverse characters. Bounty Train, economic strategy dedicated to American trains of the 19th century. The main feature of the project is the ability to create your own composition and then go on a journey through the open world of the Wild West. Fascinating storied missions, transporting passengers, shooting with bandits, collecting resources and collecting parts, repairing and upgrading the train. All this and much more will be experienced by Bounty Train users. Diesel Railcar Simulator, a simulator of a British diesel train from the middle of the 20th century, and the atmosphere of that time is conveyed not only by the trains themselves, there are several models in the game, but also by the landscape outside the window. Diesel Railcar Simulator has several scenarios with fictional routes, with a total length of 150 miles and 2 modes that determine the complexity of managing the train, arcade and realistic. Trainz Railroad Simulator 2019. A realistic railroad simulator with a solid amount of graphical merit and interesting gameplay. Here you can not only find yourself in the cockpit of the most modern and fastest locomotives, but also create your own trains and routes thanks to the flexible built-in editor. All created modifications can be submitted to the judgment of other users of Trainz Railroad Simulator 2019, as well as uploading something from their work to your own library. Tiny Rails, a 2D railroad simulator with charming pixel art. The gameplay is simple. You need to deal with the delivery of passengers and various goods around the local world, opening new stations, as well as developing and customizing your train. And so that this process was not too simple and monotonous, the developers introduced competitors and many bright characters into the game. Tiny Rails also pleases with an unexpectedly huge set of content. The world consists of several dozen openable locations, and the train itself can be equipped with a huge number of cars for various purposes and qualities. Railroad Pioneer, a 2003 economic strategy game that takes players to the 19th century USA. This is the period when the development of rail transport in this part of the world experienced a real boom. One of the novice railroad tycoons will become a user. You will have to give all your strength to the implementation of fast and high-quality transportation of various cargoes, pay attention to laying new effective routes in the wild lands, and strive to always and in everything be one step ahead in comparison with your greedy competitors. Train Fever, a manager that allows users to follow the fascinating history of the development of passenger and freight transport from 1850 to the present. In the role of the head of a transport company, the player will be able to learn all the advantages and disadvantages of various modes of transport, including railway trains. The ability to build your own tracks and upgrade your fleet of vehicles in Train Fever is paired with a highly sophisticated and compelling city life simulation system. Cities are constantly growing in size and population, the pace and intensity of traffic is increasing, and with them the demands of passengers who want to travel quickly, comfortably, and safely. And all this has to be constantly monitored and taken into account in order to be among the leaders in the field of transport and freight transportation. A-Train PC Classic. The game invites you to feel like the president of a railway company that carries out freight and passenger transportation within one fairly large region, consisting of several modern cities and suburban areas. Building new track sections and maintaining existing ones, creating the optimal schedule and maintaining competitive prices, upgrading trains and replenishing the fleet with new models. There are a lot of interesting and important activities in A-Train PC Classic. Hypertrain, the only game of its kind, which is a simulation of a futuristic bullet train capable of accelerating to a speed of 1,000 km an hour. You will have to ride at such fantastic speed along the branched extreme paths that run between the megacities of the open world and are more reminiscent of a roller coaster. Passengers need to be transported in a limited time in addition, trying not to fall into the clutches of robbers, setting up ambushes on the most remote and deserted sections of the path. But in case of success, you can earn some good money and improve the characteristics of your train. Train Station Simulator, simulator of the head of the railway station, transferring unlimited construction and management possibilities into the hands of the user. In addition to arranging the station building itself, platforms and storage facilities, interactions with staff and passengers, the train station simulator will have to pay attention to the infrastructure adjacent directly to the station. That is, the laying and repair of tracks, as well as the manipulation of wagons and locomotives, purchase, modernization, repair, scheduling, and so on, are also present here. To be continued. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel, watch our other videos, press like, turn on notifications, and you will always be aware of what to play today.